And there we go. That's what I want. So this is what we're going to alter the sand dune into. Okay. So we're gonna turn it. We're gonna turn this into this just very quickly. And we're only going to use it as a background. Was using it as a visual for the background for a snowy scene. We're going to add the snow after the fact, and we're going to add the snow in some very interesting ways. So how did I do this? So I'm going to just open this up so you can kind of see, what's going on here. Okay, so inside of Adobe Camera Raw, so I double clicked it inside Bridge. It opens up inside the Adobe Camera Raw. And what I did was I modified the settings to kind of get that snowy type of a background. So what I did was I went to the shadow sliders in Adobe Camera Raw, taking it from here and just bringing it up to bring up the value of the shadows. And I also wanted the shadows to take on more of a bluish type of a tinge, because when you're dealing with snow, the shadow areas of snow is always going to take on a bluish nature, because that's the color of shadows in general, right? So next, I took the exposure from way down normal all the way up to kind of get that nice little light type of effect, right? So that's pretty much it. I could go to texture and give a little more of a sharpness, but we don't really care. I'm going to bring the texture to the left so we can soften up the edges a little bit, because this is going to be in the background, and I want the snow scene to look kind of soft. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and open this up in Photoshop. Okay, so here's my scene. I'm going to come over here to the image menu mode. I'm going to make sure I'm in 8-bit, because 6-bit is a lot of information. I want to work fairly quickly. It's a fairly large file, but we won't worry about that at this point. That's my background. So now what I want to do is I want to bring in my the actual church setting. So Command Shift O, let's open up Photoshop. I took this scene, and I'm going to go ahead and open that up. I took this in Bodie Ghost Town. I think this was probably a shot about a year ago, but this is going to work great for the scene. And what I'm going to do also is I'm going to go to the shadows, and I brought that up from below, bring it up a little bit higher. And I want to take down the saturation, which is what I've done here. So saturation is normally here. So I pulled it out to match that, that desaturated snowy scene. Okay. And I also pulled the color temperature away from the yellow spectrum of light toward the bluer spectrum of light to match the the bluish cast of the snow. Okay, so that's about as far as I'm going to go there. I think what I'll do is I'll go to the blacks, and I'm going to just pull that up just a little bit. That affords me the ability to bring down the exposure just a teensy bit. Let's see what I can do here. Yeah. Yeah, that works good enough. And we're going to go ahead and open that up. So I'm going to come right over here to this little link on the bottom and tell it not to open it up as a 16-bit file. Open it up as an 8-bit file. We can work a lot faster that way. And click open. Okay, let's go have some fun. So from here, Command minus, I'm going to kind of bring it down a little bit. I'm going to come over to my selection tools, second tool down the right hand side. I don't like working in the single layer option. The double layer option gives me, I can visually track this much faster. So I'm going to go to the second one down on the right hand side, grab the object selection tool, and let it just select that whole object down here, which is, it did a great job. It's selected some things in the back and the right that I don't care for. So I will now go to my other quick selection tool and hold the Alt key or Option key and just paint those out away and let that tool kind of learn. All right, so it's learning what we really want to do. Let's go minimize this here and come back into Photoshop. Hold the Option key and pull that away. So now Command 0. I think we've got what we need. At this point, Command or Control J. Let's put that onto his own layer. So to quickly drag this on top of the other one, I can hit the V key for the move tool, click and hold and drag it, place it on top of the tab for the sand dune and drop it on in like so. Do I need this other one anymore? No, I don't, because it's going to get in the way. So I'm going to close it out. Don't save it. We don't need it. All right, now let's make some adjustments to this. And I think what I'm going to do also is bring my horizon up just a little bit by targeting my background. I'll duplicate that background, Command J. And if you guys have any questions, stop any, just put them in the chat box, and I will, I should see them, and we'll get a little bit of a dialogue going. So holding the shift key with the move tool targeted, it does only one thing. It moves things up and around. So I'm going to bring it up a little higher like so. And in that case, that means I'm going to have to bring up my the top edge of my frame. So hit the C key on the keyboard, pull it on up, and I'm going to go right about here just for now and hit enter. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go to my selection tool. Actually, I'm going to go to my quick selection tool, target the sand dune, and I'm going to target this sky up here. Okay. Increase the size of my selection tool and select that sky. So it's hard to select it because it's a similar tone, but that's okay. The quick selection tool does a great job of holding the Alt Option key. It's like AI technology. It's trying to actually guess what it is I want to select, and it's doing a great job at it. Bring the cursor smaller, and it's less sensitive. There it is. Okay. Alt one more, grab that area. Okay, and what I want to do here is I want to get rid of that sky. Okay, so once this is targeted, I think what I'll do is go to my select menu, modify. Let's go to expand that selection by a couple pixels so it crops into the dunes a little bit. And then when I hit the delete key, it goes away. I've got this thing in the background where the background color filled in the space when I expanded this on up. So hit the M key for the marquee tool. If I turn that one off and just select that whole section up there like so, and I'm just gonna just get rid of it. So I'm gonna come over here and let's see. I don't want to fill that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that off. Okay, and I think what we'll do is we'll just delete it on out. We got a background, so turn that one back on. There we go. We got the freed up space. I can put anything I want back here at this point. So let's go back over to bridge. Let's grab something to put back there, and I'm thinking like this nice little sky scene there. Keep it nice and light. Okay, I've got a couple of versions of the sky if I believe correctly, but I think that one's going to work really well. I've got this one here too, but I like this one here. I'm going to go ahead, and if I want to bypass Adobe Camera Raw, hold the Shift key, double click on the icon, and it'll bypass Adobe Camera Raw and drop it right into Photoshop, just to save some time. Okay, so Christina says, okay, all is right. Cool. All right. I guess Christina is saying that she can hear and see us perfectly well. So I'm going to go grab my clouds. I'm going to just pull it over to the side so we can see where we're going to place things. So hit the V key for the move tool. Shortcut. Pull it on over. Drop it on in like so. Okay. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to close those clouds out. I don't need them anymore. And let's go ahead and just position them real quick. So with the V key targeted, it's going to position them up here, Command T. Now what I can do is I'm going to alter that into a smart object, right? Because I'm going to be doing some resizing here and some other manipulations. So I can just make it larger if I want to. Okay, there we go. The next thing I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to give the background a white. So I'm going to go right behind this, add an adjustment layer of a solid color. And the solid color that I'm going to add, let's go ahead and get our little box, is going to be probably this a white in here. I'm going to go grab something right in here, tap that like so. I can go, maybe I'll go with that more of that bluish, something in between. We can see it right down here in the bottom. It's showing up. But that's the bluish tonality I'm going to grab. And the reason being is that with this in the background, I can take my cloud layer, bring down this opacity, and it's going to blend in and make it look like it's going to be hazy back there. There we go. We're going to start a snowy scene. Let's go get our or building. It's there. I'm going to bring it up right about, oops, I'm in the wrong layer. Silly me. Go target the correct layer. Okay, we want to see all of our layers here. Now, what I could do here as well, I think I will, is go ahead, right click, make that a smart object. I'm going to make several adjustments here. Command T for free transform. I'm going to place it right up here. That's going to be a horizon line. Command Shift and Alt together while I'm in free transform gives me the perspective tool, so I can kind of shift it the way that I want. Okay, that works. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna go to the C key for the crop tool, because I think I want to include that right up there. So it goes to right about there, and we're gonna go like that. Okay, yeah, that's looking pretty good. All right, now let's go have some more fun. I'm looking at this. I'm thinking adding little curves to this to kind of get it to match the overall the color scheme of the scene. So a couple of things I can do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add Command or Control M, or image adjustment. Go over here to curves. Let's pull this over to the side, and the shaded area really needs to have more of a bluer cast in here. So I'm going to go over to the blues, and I'm going to look at my shading options here, right? So I don't want to affect, I can pull this up to add a little bit of a bluer tinge. There we go. You see that? So it's starting to take on more of a bluer tinge overall. For the highlights, that's as far as I want them to go. So I'm going to add extra points across here. So when I manipulate the lower tones, it does not move the highlights. So with the lower tones, I can add a little more blue in there. There we go. A little more of a bluer cast. That works pretty nicely. The last thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to add a hue and saturation here. So Command or Control U on the keyboard. Let's pull it over to the side. And let's pull that saturation out just a little bit more. Something like that. So it's slightly muddy in there. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. I think that'll work. Now I'm going to start to blend this in with the snow in here. So give this a layer mask. I'm going to right click. Well, I'm going to hit the B key for the brush. Right, shortcut for the brush. Thanks, Leona. Leona says it's looking great. And anybody, you can ask questions anytime. Just kind of jump in and share and or ask, give ideas or whatever you like. I'm going to take my brush. Now I'm using a Wacom pen, right? And I'm using the 3-button version of the Wacom pen. The middle click is designed to resize my brush. If I go down hard, up soft, I want to keep it soft at this point. And I've given it the mask where the white is going to say, okay, everything associated in white with this image is going to be it's going to be viewable. However, I can paint this out with black. Hit the I got black and white as my option for the foreground and background color. If you don't, you hit the D key as in default on your keyboard, and that will automatically change your black and white to your foreground and background color to black and white. So I'm going to just paint this out. All right, so make sure I'm in normal blend mode. And so what's happening is Photoshop is acting up a little bit. So my brush, which I have selected here, there we go, normal 100%. Oh, silly me. What am I not paying attention to? Hello, Maria. Welcome. It's great to have you here. Hit the X key on the keyboard, and now I can start painting stuff out. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to grab a soft brush. That's a special effects brush I created. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm going to grab this brush, standard brush, and adjust my opacity and just kind of paint it out just a little bit. Just kind of make it look like it's, integrating with the landscape just a little bit. Okay, hit the X key again to go to white. I want to bring back some of these areas. I don't want to completely, just a little bit here. I'm going to hit the shift key and click on the mask That makes the effect go away. Okay, that's good enough. All right, now we're gonna make the snow. Here's the fun part. Let's go into Bridge. I have found some textures, and the texture I'm going to use is this one right there. Okay, I'm going to open that up. Where did I get that texture from? If we go over to, let's actually go to the other. There we go. If we go over to textures.com, if you're not aware of this, this is a great little site. You can come in here, and these textures are free for commercial and personal use. Okay, and they're fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous. So if I come up here and put in snow, you get snow options for 3D assets, 3D asset snow, or you can come down here and you get photographic snow. And you can pick something like this here, and you can download that. All right. Let's see. I might choose, well, this is giving you 1024 by 1024 by default. Okay. Let me kind of go back to where I was. And but the lower version, which is a 1024, is free. If you look at some of these, it will give you the medium version for free on some of these. So just be aware of that. I believe this up here is going to be seamless. I'm not sure, but I'll test it out. So if I download that, click that, it's free. I'm going to download it on in. Okay. I'm going to go back to Bridge. Now, I've already done one. I mean, this is the one I think I'm going to use, but just want you to be aware that, yeah, I mean, you've got options here, right? And there it is. That's a little warm. I'm thinking I'm liking what I've got better, what I've chosen better. So, but I'll keep that one in mind. All right. So, Maria, Jacobachi, I believe is how you pronounce, says, loves your project, Stephen. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good to see how you blend each picture and great resources that you always provide. Thank you. I appreciate it. My pleasure. All right. So here we go. Let's take a look at this one. Image menu, image size, 1200 by 1200 pixels. All right. That's going to make the math easy here. You'll find out what I mean in just a little bit. I want to make this seamless, right? But first, I want to modify this a little bit. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to use what's called the patch tool, the fourth tool down on the right-hand side. I'm going to grab the patch tool. And what that will allow me to do is it allows me to kind of circle areas and kind of patch up some of those dark spots in there. I don't want too many dark spots in here. I'm going to just cover them up with snow. I'm going to circle them, creates a selection, go to a lighter area with snow, circle it, lighter area with snow, and it covers it up. Okay. I guess I could also use the spot healing brush as well and do it that way as well. I mean, I can use that as an option. I can use both of them, right? So just getting rid of some of these darker spots so it's mostly snow. Okay. I get a happy face from Maria. So now here we're going to go. This is where the fun begins. I need to make this seamless. And to test how seamless it's going to be is to split this up directly in half, vertically and horizontally. If I go right over here to our filter menu and go to other and use my option for offset, I can tell it now. Remember, it's 1200 by 1200. I put in 600, which is half of the vertical and horizontal size. And if you take a look at it, this is what it's going to look like if I try to tile it. And that's not what I want it to look like. So if I pull this down just a little bit, I'm going to go back to my patch tool, right? Fourth tool down on the right hand side. Actually, let me click OK there. All right. So it's already, now if I want to, I can, here, I'll just go ahead and duplicate this layer. Go to the patch tool. And I'm going to target this line, hit the F key to go to full screen mode so you can kind of get in close. You guys can see this. And I'm just going to select this and bring it down, right? And what it's going to do is going to allow you to go select a texture somewhere else, and it's showing you where that texture is coming from somewhere else, how it's going to look in preview. And then when I move it over and release it, it covers it up seamlessly. So now I'm going to do the horizontal, okay? So same tool, go ahead and select all that line, that harsh line in there. And I think I'm going to take this and bring it down and cover. I'm going to preview the particular texture and values that how I want it to match. If it looks good, okay, something like that, and release it. You've got yourself a seamless texture. Now we're going to create this and put it into our textures menu in Photoshop. How do we do that? Edit menu. All right, let's get out of there. Let's go to my edit menu. Instead of brushes, I don't want to define a brush. I want to define a pattern. All right, so our pattern menus here. So click on define the pattern. Now, before I do so, I need to select it, right? So Command A. All right, I'm going to hit escape. All right, and get out of there. And come back over here. Let me go get the little dialog box. I'm going to click cancel. All right, so I'm going to do this again. Edit menu, define that pattern, okay? And my option is showing up way over there in my other screen. I've got a 3-screen monitor. There's my new pattern, my seamless pattern. And I'm going to click OK. Now here's where the fun begins. I'm pretty much done with this image now. So I'm going to hit Command S just to save it. And we'll put it back in that folder. I'm going to save it as a TIFF file. That'll be just fine. Call it layer 1 and done. Command W. Photoshop is asking me, and I'm looking over my other monitor here because it pops up my menus over the third monitor. There's my TIFF file. Click OK. All done. Okay. So now let's go have some more fun. Command W. We want to get rid of that one. Now we're going to add over here right at the bottom as an adjustment layer. We're going to add one called a pattern. Okay. By default, it gives it a pattern, but if I double click on the pattern symbol, and it's going to give me another dialog box. What pattern do you want to use? I'm going to click the drop list here. I want to use that one that I just created, which is right there. So there's my snow. So with that targeted, now I can do a lot of, now what I love about the patterns here is I can decide the angle of the pattern. So if I, instead of 0, I can go up here, it's changing the angle, and I'm going to kind of assess it, know how I want it to look. Okay, I'm going to keep it close to 0 for now. I can go to the scale and make the pattern larger, see? Or I can make the pattern larger. So if I want stuff in the middle ground or the back, way in the background, I'm probably going to make this pattern really, really small. I want it to be near the house or the church. So I'm going to take it to something like that. I'm going to just assess something like that. I'm just guessing. I'm just visually, looking at this. Now, if I click OK, and I come over here, and I'm going to take a look at the lighting in my scene. The lighting is coming from what? It's coming from the top right. So I'm going to want this pattern to reflect the same thing. So double click on the icon, the left-hand side that represents the pattern. And I need to rotate this so the lighting is coming from the top right. I think that'll work just like this. Okay. All right. There's method in our madness here. So once done, I'm going to take my my mask and I'm going to invert it, Command I, so I can get rid of the effect. Now we're going to go to our brush. So the mask is targeted, hit the B key for the brush, and I'm going to create I'm going to select a special brush. It's a brush that has scattering and other options applied to it. And if I right click, I'm going to select this brush right there. And I'm going to go take a look at the brush properties. The fourth icon from the left on your options bar for the brush. So there's my brush targeted options here. Go right over to here and take a look at the nature of my brush. So I've got shape dynamics applied where I can adjust the size of the shape based on the length of the stroke. I've got the also the scattering applied where I can apply more scattering or less scattering. I'm going to keep it right about there for this tutorial. I've got color dynamics, which I don't need because I want to edit the mask, so I'm going to turn that off. And then I have transfer selected to control the pressure with my Wacom stylus. Okay, so I'm using the Cintiq, the 24-inch Cintiq, just so that you can see it. I'm going to take my camera, and I'm going to turn it around and show it to you. That's my monitor that I'm actually drawing and painting on. So it's there to make my life easier. All right. Okay. So once my brush is created or the properties have been applied that I prefer to have, go to my hamburger menu here, make it a new brush preset. And by default, it brings up a menu. Call it what you want. I'm going to click OK to save time. And where did it save it to? It always makes it the very last one. So if I right click, it's always the very last one in the menu. Okay, does that make sense? So let's see, Lynette Pearson, hello, welcome. Okay, what's VOA? Lynette, what's VOA? Okay, so yes, Christina says, nice how you work with the brushes. Oh yeah, I'm gonna show you more in just a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna close this out. I don't need that anymore. So now, okay, you have a big screen to work with. Yep, absolutely. It's 24 inches. Wacom Cintiq. A fabulous product. All right, let's go play. Let's get the snow down here. Time is moving. So let's see. Let's start gently adding in some of the snow. All right. So I'm thinking the lighting, I want to create snow kind of moving from top left to the right also, like a wind blowing snow. So as the wind's blowing, I'm kind of getting closer here. I want to make sure that all of my pressure sensitivity for pressure, yeah, that's all there. I may need to bring down the opacity a little bit, but here, just to work faster, I'm going to just keep it where it is. I'm working right on the monitor. So some of that snow is going to come across. It's going to get into the doorway in here. It's going to pile up against the edges, right? I'm going to bring in my brush a little smaller. It's going to pile up in the edges. It's going to come across here. The same thing is going to go on here. Bring it on up. It's going to kind of flow on over into here on the bottom. And you see that brush just gives it that feeling that it's snow, right? It's the way the nature of the brushes is also working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with this particular size, I'm going to bring it on up here. Some snow is going to be piling up in here and coming to the side, and it's going to come all the way across here. And I'm going to gently start to lay it down, coming across right on in. And we're going to get this coming on the top of this hill here. Okay. I'm going to just gently bring it across all through here. Now, as we go further in the back, it's going to be smaller, right? So I'm going to duplicate this, Command J, all right? Or click and drag it and put it on the icon that's to the left of the garbage can. And then I'm going to fill this with white. So white's my foreground color, so Alt or Option and backspace or delete will fill with that foreground color. Now I'm thinking that no, it's starting to slug just a little bit because of the layers. So I'm gonna go to my image menu, image size, and if you look at my image size, it's about well, I tell you what, if I go over to my inches, it's 18 inches wide. I don't need it that long, right? So why don't we just make the width, let's say 10 inches, and that'll help, help me to speed up the process. And I've got a pretty powerful computer. It's just that I'm also recording with recording software, and I'm also sharing my screen, so my graphics card is being taken, and using my microphone and all that stuff. So, and of course, Photoshop is a memory hog, so it's going to kind of slow things down. So Photoshop is reducing everything from an 81 megabyte file down to a much smaller file. And I'm going to save this one, Command Shift S, because if I lose it, I'm going to be pretty upset. So Snowy, I'm going to call this one Church Snow 002. Okay. And it's thinking. There we go. And click OK. We're there. Now, I'm going to take this and bring down the opacity just a little bit, just to get the perspective relationship of the snow in the back should be much smaller in size, right? So if I bring this up a little bigger, double click here, and I'm going to take my scale and I'm going to make it smaller. Okay. And I'm going to see how that's going to look. Bring up the opacity. I'm not too crazy about that pattern it's producing there. I may have to blur it out a little bit. Let me just see. Yeah, I'm not too crazy about that. So let me double click that and let me play around with that scale and see what else I can do. Yeah, see, this is more acceptable here. So that's too small. Right about there, right, a little bit. Okay, that's more acceptable. Okay, now Command I. Let's grab that. Joseph Lebrecht, welcome. Great to see ya. Let's go ahead and lay this back. Now I want to take this. I'm going to put it in the background. Okay, so I'm going to put it right underneath the church, and we can be sloppy at this point. Targeting the mask, using the same brush. Now I can be a little sloppy because we're going to just lay down that snow effect right back there, making my brush a little smaller. All right, I'm going to put that snow coming from the top of the hill. It's coming down into these darker areas. All right, so I'm just gently laying it down as I get to the top of the peaks, because I'm honoring that shading back there from the sand dune, right? Honoring that shading. So if I get to the top of the peaks, I'm going to make it a little stronger. Hit the X key to go to black, and I can take it away from some of these areas if I so choose. Bring it on up. And we're going to just... Now I can restrict this to the sand dune, right? So if I can take this layer and make it a clipping path to the sand dune, and it'll restrict it only to the sand dunes, only to the mounds there. That way I can come up here and I'm going to hit the X key to paint with white. And if I get sloppy, I can be sloppy and know that, it's not going to go beyond the sand dune. At least I don't think it's supposed to. I've got an area back there that I'm not liking too much, but here we can modify that. That's going to go way back there. I'm going to change the blend mode on this and see what it looks like. If I go to lighten, okay, how about overlay? And I'll do that from time to time just to see what will happen. But we'll stick to this here. So let's go. Let's turn this off temporarily. Okay. Let's take those sand dunes on the right hand side of the sand dune layer, double click it. And what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to give it some atmospheric depth. So I'm going to take the color overlay and apply it to it. But I'm going to select the color that's going to match that scene, the sky back there. There we go. Okay, and a little bluish sky. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit so it just fades just a little bit there. Okay. And click OK. Now if I turn on, there we go. Some of the snow is in there. And let's see, I'm not liking, I guess what I can do is I'm going to go over to here to my, the sand dune itself. And I'm going to make some modifications. I'm going to give this a mask because I'm not like, I like that hill there, but I'm not liking the dark areas to the sides. Okay. I'm not liking some of these dark areas to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and get a standard brush. So right click, get my standard, I'll get the standard soft brush. It's just right up here. There it is. Target that one there. Reduce the size down, make it probably a little bit of a harder edge. Okay. Paint with black and just edit that mask so I can take all this out. Okay. That works. Okay. I'm liking that a lot better. There we go. Now I'm going to come over here, right click and go get that other style of brush that I showed you earlier, this one right here. So if I bring the size of the brush down and start to paint, it reflects the snowy areas. There we go. It looks like it's integrated into the background a lot more properly. Okay, done. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to keep that brush and just paint it away. But keep that background. There we go. Okay, that looks a little better. All right, I'm going to go back to the snow layer for everything here, and I'm going to make another snow layer. So this one is the snow on top. I'm going to go do a little more work on that very quickly. And that should be that one right there. See how my system's slowing down a little bit? So all these adjustment layers kind of will tax the system. So hit the X key to paint with white. I'm going to make sure I have the right brush, which is that I do. All right, and select that, and kind of the snow's coming up here on the side. All right, we are going to use this same one because if I shift click on the mask, I've got all this up here, right? So let's go ahead. There we go. I'm using my old shortcuts in Photoshop, Command plus or minus, because it's memory. Okay, we're going to just put some snow up there, coming right on the edge of that roof. I'm just pressing kind of hard. It's going to come up here a little bit like so. I want to put some more snow coming over here right along the edge just to save time. I think I might, well, it doesn't matter. I could duplicate that layer, but I think that's going to tax my memory a little bit, so I'm going to continue to use this one here. So I'm going to bring the brush smaller, make it kind of like hang off a little bit. It's hanging off up here, coming down the house a little bit off the sides. We're going to get snow coming right off here. It's hanging on down. We're going to just paint it on, coming on right down on here. Get some snow coming right on the edge of this. That's good. That's going to come down in a little bit. See, it kind of looks like snow, huh? So I want to, it's not going to be straight. It's going to be it's going to be a little bit of a hump up in here. And that comes on down. Bring it on down. Loving the snowy Wonderland. Leone's going, oh, I love it. I told you you're going to like it, Leone. I told you it wasn't going to be boring. All right, there we go. Kind of roll it on, pull it on down over here. We've got, you have to remember what you got to look at. You got to remember where snow's going to be. It's going to be sitting on the edge down here, right through here, right on the. It's going to come down the edge just a little bit. All right on these little edges. We got it along the top up here, so I got to make the brush a little bit bigger. All right. And I may be doing this. I'm rushing this. All right. So, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm saying I'm rushing it, and I'm gonna look at my time. We got 15 minutes to go here because I'm using a single layer to try to do all this, and it's not helping me. So this is what I'm gonna do. I am going to get rid of what I just did, and it's going to make sense. I'm going to keep that mask up here, but I'm going to get rid of what I just did. Let me make a new layer, but we'll make it with that. Remember that other snow that we downloaded, that one there. Let's use this one. Let's open it up. Okay, and let's hit the V key on the keyboard, move it on over. Okay, there it is. Let's see how that snow. I want to get some of that lot of that yellow out of here. So Command M for curves, or image adjustment curves. And I'm going to go just to the blue and pull out and just cool it off a little bit. All right, that's too strong. All right, so just there we go. A little more. I think that'll work. Click OK. And this can be a little bit bigger. So what I will do is Command T. Let's make it a little bigger, facing the direction of the light there. Put it over there like so. Okay. I'm going to select it again. Alt key. Put a little more for the other side of the roof. Better yet, I tell you what. Because I'm basically being lazy here. Command click on it, edit menu, define it as a new pattern. Okay. And there it is. Click OK. I don't need this layer anymore. I'm going to get rid of it. We're going to make another adjustment layer. Not gradient, silly. I don't want gradient. Oops. Let's get rid of that gradient dialog box that's over here. Okay. And what we want is my pattern. Let's go get our pattern, which is right there. It is. Okay. So that's my new snow. I'm going to fill that all with white. There we go. There's my new pattern. Let's go ahead and go to the pattern. Rotate it so the lighting is coming from. There we go. That's good. Okay, that works. And then we'll use this one. I think this will be better. And then we're going to add in our little snow real fast because we don't have a lot of time left. So Command I. See, we need at least 2 hours of this, So Command I. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag this adjustment, or not adjustment, but that mask on top of this one. There. It did it. But I don't want this snow for the bottom. All right. So if I hit Alt, click on it, I don't want the bottom. I just want it on the roof. So hit my M key, select it, and fill it with black. And all done. Okay. Let's go ahead. Command D, Command O, or Command 0 to pop it to full frame. And then we're going to go ahead and click. There we go. All right. So we got a little bit of the snow on there. In fact, I forgot to do this portion here. So if I come up over here and just get rid of this, just on that little top portion there, on the bottom, and fill that with black, that gets rid of it. So we'll just go back and paint that on real fast. Hit the B key. B key for the brush. Right click. Go get our little sneaky little brush there. There we go. And we're going to just lay it on this. This is too big. Shows up as a huge brush. And we're going to lay it. Am I in the right? Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Duh. There we go. I'm going to be in that one. There we go. We got snow. Snow coming around the edges here, right? Snow coming back. A little higher here. Break the brush down. It's going to kind of like, it's kind of coming off the edge a little bit. It's going to sit probably up here on some of these top portions of the doorway. Okay. Probably snow is going to be a little more of a bigger mound up here, right? It's going to be sitting up like so. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to sit up there a little more. Okay, up in here. Okay, so I'm going to kind of pull this down right on these ledges right up here. I'm accidentally hitting my right click, which is annoying me to no ends. Alright, let's go maximize this up here. Bringing the brush, getting it closer. There we go. Right there, and then right up there is where snow is going to settle. Alright. Just coming down the edges of the doorways. And then, of course, it's going to probably be some coming up across here. So you just put it wherever you want. The ledges in the bottom. Coming off a little bit. Coming off here. We're just painting it on in. Painting on where that snow should be. Alright, so at the risk of getting caught up in doing too much painting, let's get in the snow, the snowfall, right? Alright, so we've got 7 minutes, so I think we can do this real fast. So over here, we're going to make a new brush, make a new layer. I'm going to get my smoke brush. It's the one I've just pretty much been using the entire time, but I'm going to get something different. This one's going to have a sharper edge to it. I'm going to use white as my foreground color, and I'm going to use a kind of a bluish tinge for the background color. If I come right up here, I'm going to use the color dynamics, the switch between the foreground and the background color. I'm going to save that as a new brush. Okay, where did it go? Is always the very last brush right down in here. And we're going to create some atmosphere in the background. So let's go above the sand dune, but behind, make a new layer, but behind. And of course, I can make this as my background layers here. So select them all, Command G, right? Making a new group, background. All right, and I'll leave these here just for now, just so I can easily access them. All that's right. So Maria is saying yes, all with the magic of brushes. That's right. So Leonis has amazing attention to detail, and trust me, I'm trying to save time here. I'm really not being as much detailed as I should be. So I go to the background, paint in this layer. And this layer, I think I'll give this a blend mode of a of a screen. Let's see how it looks. And I'm going to just paint in. There we go. Paint in a little haze going on back there. There we go. Okay. I'm going to paint in a little haze in the front. So I'm going to put a layer. I've got one up here. It's a blank layer already. And I'm going to just paint a little bit in there. There we go. Get the wind blowing and then, oops, what did I do? Did I turn off something? Turned off that right there. Okay. Okay. And we'll kind of get rid of all that there. I'm going to end up cropping that off anyway. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Something like that. Yeah, that's about it. I think that works. Okay. Let's get the snow in here. So a new layer right on top. I've got a brush. Hit the B key for the brush. And I've got a brush that will do some scattering, which I've got right up here. I got this one here. This might work better. Let's do this one. So let's take on the foreground for now. And I'm going to make a much bigger brush. Let's see what happens. If I'm also going to take off the transfer for adjusting the opacity. And I'm going to save that. So what I'm going to do, if we think about this, is I'm going to paint in snow. So snow, what we're looking at is a lot of motion blur. So I'm going to paint some snow in the layers. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, let's see if I take, I'm going to add a little bit of a motion blur to the actual snow to give it that sense of movement. So snow does not, you see a lot of circular shapes being applied to snow when people paint snow in scenes, but snow is never really circular. It's crystalline, right? So it's all these little irregular shapes falling from the sky. So I'm going to basically apply that technique. And I'm using this square looking brush because it's going to break up. It's going to give me different shapes, a different look, so that when I actually blur it, that little irregular crystalline effect of the edge of the brush is going to look kind of, I think, a little bit more convincing. So if I come here, I'm going to just tap. That's probably a little bit too big. I'm going to test it. That's too big. So let's go ahead. I'm going to hit Command A for hit delete just to work quickly. And I'm going to pull it. I'm going to take a look at my brush. For the shape dynamics, I've got the size jitter really high. So I'm going to pull it down so I can control the size better. I'm going to come to the scattering here. Pull it probably closer together. Let's see what it looks like now. I'm going to test it. Okay, that's probably a little better. Maybe give myself a little more scattering. And probably adjust the size just a little bit. Brush tip shape. Well, the size I'm going to be adjusting through my shortcut, Alt right click on the PC. Okay, hit delete key and tap, 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 tap. No, that's too big. Make it a little smaller. I think, there we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. Okay, we're going to put it on here. That's good. All right, once on that layer, I'm going to give it a motion blur. So filter, blur, motion blur. Okay. And I'm going to go get the motion blur box, I should say. There we go. And I'm going to just pull it more like that. Okay. Let me see if I play with the opacity a little bit. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to add another layer on top of that. So Now, what I can do at this point, I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to save that brush and get rid of this. This is in my way. I'm going to make it smaller, and I'm going to give it, actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the background. Okay, let's go to our background here. Add this. It's going to be much smaller. Let's see what happens if it's smaller. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and tell the scattering to be greater and test it. There we go. This is behind everything. Okay. Filter, blur, Gaussian, motion blur. There we go. Now, what I might do here, I'm going to go to my filter blur and give it a Gaussian blur first. That softens it. I'm next going to go to the filter blur Gaussian blur. Actually, I'm going to go back get the motion blur dialog box here. Kind of really soften it back there. Now give it a motion blur. Filter blur, motion blur. Okay. And match the direction of the wind. It doesn't, not everything has to match the same directions. In fact, I'm going to give it about that much of a blur and click it. Then I'm going to go to this layer. I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to go to this layer because even though wind is blowing in a certain direction, your snow, not all your layers of snow are going to be blowing in the same way. So this one, I'm going to give it a slightly different angle. Just slightly. In fact, I will, yeah, that works. I'm going to go over to give this a mask. Okay. And I will click, get the standard soft edge brush right up here. And some areas of the image I'm going to want to not distract. So if I come over to here, that's the background. That's not a big deal. It's the foreground that's a problem. The foreground is up here, right? That's where we put. That's the dust. That's what I want there. So I'm going to take that mask that I put down here initially on this one and just drag it on up and put it on this foreground layer of the foreground snow. Okay, and then I may want this to not be distracting over the doorway. Take it away. I may not want this to be as distracting in the foreground, so just take some of it away in the foreground so I can continue to see the snow that I took time to paint on back there. Okay. And again, I brought the opacity down. I can bring it down more. I'll kind of play with it so the actual subject's coming through. Now, I know we're running out of time. What I would do, actually a little bit over, actually what I'll do is I'll start painting lighting effects on here. So the lighting's hitting the top of the snow. That's going to be bright while the other side's going to be a little bit darker. So I would, if I had the time, I would start painting those effects on there. Okay. So unfortunately, although I won't completely finish it, it gives you an idea of how you too can make your winter wonderland with a blizzard type of effect.
Yeah, that is wonderful.
Okay.
It's so beautiful, and I am just so impressed with the attention to detail that you were showing, especially that a lot of the viewers that are joining from Argentina, the Central Valley of California, where it's very hot, myself
Yeah.
and Shannon. Um, we don't realize, or at least a lot of the viewers don't realize, that you are creating this from Los Angeles. And so your understanding for snowfall is pretty amazing, considering we don't see a lot of snow in LA and Central Valley. And so I think that there's something to be said with regards to how you utilize an unexpected brush tool to achieve what one would say, like, oh, I'm just going to use a circular shape for all of the snowflakes.
Right.
And instead, you are encouraging unexpected brushes to then get varied shapes in the snowflakes, and then twisting the layers to imply the swirling of the snow. And then I couldn't get over how you actually added snow to some of the places that I would have never thought to do, like the awning of the door and so forth. So I just am thinking how, when you did your photography
Yeah.
workshop
Yeah.
last week in Death Valley, California, where it's desert, and there's so many interesting subject matter to photograph. I think that there's a lot of, look at that, you're adding the icicles and so forth. I think there's a lot of validity and necessity and even wellness that can be incorporated with getting out into nature to see these irregularities.
Right.
Wisconsin, yeah, Emily said Wisconsin, to see these irregularities of nature so that we can then make our creativity all the richer, and have a lot of confidence in the tools that we use to create those uniqueness and irregularities, and reflect what we see in our world with more accuracy and more depth. So I just wanted to speak to that, because I was so inspired and impressed by how you're really seeing our world in with the snow and everything. Joseph is joining us, and of course from Colorado, he gets to see a lot of snow, and Emily from Wisconsin. But for the rest of us, it's a lot. It's basically the need for us to get out and about and enjoy our world, to bring that back into our creative flow. So I should say that next week will be our last creativity workshop for the year, and I just wanted to thank everyone who joined today. Argentina, Central Valley, California, Los Angeles, Colorado, and Wisconsin. It's so wonderful to have this opportunity to connect and create alongside creative educators, and stay inspired, and really, oh, look at that, adding shadows. And what's so wonderful is to see how you're really working on this, even though it was something that you wouldn't have normally chosen to do. So
Yeah, it was your fault.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see that sometimes we can actually find inspiration in unexpected ways and projects that we might not normally have sought for ourselves. So thank you for really taking that on for this holiday season.
You're welcome.
So those of you are able to join us again next week for our creativity workshop at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, Los Angeles and San Francisco. And we hope to see you there, and we will continue to create and inspire ourselves and our students for each week thereafter. Thank you so much. Don't forget to join Stephen Burns on the
Yeah, but I should
yeah.
probably mention that I was raised in Chicago.
Oh, that's how you know that. See? I was like,
I was
wow. And to think he's living in LA and he's thinking about all the places that snowfall. There we have it.
no. That see that weather is bullshit.
In Chicago,
Yeah,
very cold. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Love the people, love the culture, but the weather sucks.
yeah. Well, what's wonderful is the composition of how you have it centered. It really is inviting for us to find shelter from the cold, and I just am, so grateful for your expertise, and thank you all for sharing joy this season and your creativity. So we hope to see you next week.
Thank you everybody for being here. This is a lot of fun. All right. See.
Okay, take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.
So we're no longer live, right?
In a moment.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Now we're no
It
longer
says it.
Wisconsin. Emily,
That was so great.
wasn't that
Thank you
fun?
so much. Yes.
I've-
I am so thrilled. I thought that, gosh, I mean, the way you pulled in all of the natural reflections of snow, I thought it was crazy how you were able to share snow in such a real way. I was like, I almost started to feel like, because I grew up in Alaska, and I almost started to feel like, wow, how disconnected am I with nature that I forgot that snow falls on the little ledges of the windows. I
yeah.
forgot that
Yeah.
it drips from the edges of
Yeah.
the windows. Like, that is something that you were showing, and it's from memory, but it's because you played in the snow, you saw the snow, you
yeah.
lived in the snow,
Yeah.
you're drawing on that. And so I do think it's really wonderful how you have the nature getaways, so that we can have more enriched inspiration. And really, it leads to better realism, more depth. Your understanding of how snow swirls
Yeah.
because of Chicago, because even in California, we might get snowfall at Big Bear,
Right.
but it's nothing like the swirl of Chicago
Yeah.
in Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
And so even like adding that twist to the energy of the snow, it was just wonderful. And I love that you could even do a whole workshop on um, making your like forcing your students to use a tool that they wouldn't naturally be
Right.
inclined to grab
Right.
to extract the same outcome. So it's like, okay, I know you're going to grab a circular shaped tool, but this time in this exercise, we're going to do the opposite of what we
Right.
naturally want to grab,
Right.
because I want you guys to understand how when you work outside your rational brain,
Right.
you will then find more inspiring outcomes by utilizing what your rational brain is telling you to grab.
Right.
Circular like,
Yeah.
no, they're
They're
crystalline.
crystalline, right?
Mhm. And that was such a great point. I mean, that's a whole workshop right there.
yeah.
Making your students use the tool that they wouldn't normally use to
Yeah.
extract the same
That's
outcome.
interesting. Matter of fact,
Hmm.
we could do something like
I
that. In
know,
fact, you know
right?
what? Do we have any more workshop days left?
We have one next week that no one has signed up for, so I'm
Let
hoping.
me do it.
But if no one does, I'm gonna do like we'll do like a celebratory type of end of year holiday party type thing, which would be kind of fun. Where we should maybe it would be cool if we had the time to like pull in, like, how in the 80s they would do at holiday season, they would do like a best of clips, and you would get to see like all the different your
Mm-hmm.
favorite clips of Facts of Life, like they do the whole, you
Right.
know. So yeah, so we should do something celebratory, and then on the sign up form next year, like after Christmas, it's wide open
Okay.
to to do, like, literally no one has signed up, so I need to actually
Okay.
post and see if anybody wants to do
In
some
fact, can
workshops
can
next
can
year.
you can you shoot me off that link?
Yep.
And I've got a question too.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot me off the link and I'll get signed up for next year. And I've got a question. Remember the code that you sent me for Substance Painter?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, it's giving me an error.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
I've had other people say that they've experienced that.
Yeah, error. Are you able to
Yeah.
send another code or how does that
Um,
work?
I will try. Yeah, it shouldn't be doing that to you. There's something going on with the substance codes.
So
Let me try.
like actually I'll
Yeah.
show you. I'll show you. I'll open it up right now so you can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I think last time I asked the substance team to take a look at why that's happening, because it happened to, I think it was Abby Guido or somebody twice now. She's like, it's doing it again. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
But
so I go to
I'll put in a request for a new code as well as let them know.
here's the substance. Okay, if I go to Substance Painter and click it, it thinks it says there's an error and it will shut down and contact support or something like that.
Okay. Do you know why?
I don't know
Like
why.
when you do
See,
something? No, it's just when you open it, it
it,
just
Yeah, when I open them, this is what's weird. Did this update? Okay, that's weird. It was doing it before. Let me try it again. Um, if I go to here, let me go to the Adobe panel. It might be, it might do it that way. The Adobe there, Creative Cloud, and let's close you out. All right, so 3D and AR Substance Painter open. Maybe they fixed it behind the scenes or something because I was opening it up and it was saying it needs to. There it is. Substance Paint
Okay.
encountered an error and needs to close. Quit
Can
substance.
you, does it say the number of the error or anything like that?
No, it does not. It gives you nothing. All it says is quit Adobe 3D Painter, and that it says you will not be able to use Adobe Substance 3D Painter at this time. Please contact customer support and use the reference code 205. There it is.
Okay, code 205. Okay, all
Um.
right. So I will send this along.
Okay.
Does it have like a thing where it can prompt you to share that with, like, does it say like help us know and
Um.
sometimes I'll get,
It just has a link to customer support.
oh, okay.
That
No, I guess I'll share it then. Okay,
do you want me to screen capture this?
sure. Yeah.
Okay. So here, let me go and I'll send that to you. Okay. Okay, cool. What did I tell it to? What did I tell it to screen capture to? I can't remember. I think that's over here. Then I'll send that to you right now through Facebook. Yeah, AEL December 2021. Okay, it's there. So I'm gonna go do it right now.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and let's see, Leona should be right here. There you are, and send you an image, and there it is. It's done. It's on Facebook Messenger.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll forward that on. Oh, and then you know what else is
Yeah.
I will send you um, this sign up form for next year.
Got it. Do that now. I'll go ahead and get signed up for it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Um, yeah, that was really fun. I loved the workshop.
Thank you. I figured you would
Yeah.
like it. It's kind of like I was thinking Wonderland, Christmas. I was thinking, no, it's gonna be so boring. I figured, oh, what? Well, I said I got an idea.
Yeah. Well, I think like that ability separates the men from the boys. The ability to actually manufacture
Mm-hmm.
inspiration for yourself on behalf of your clients.
Yeah.
So for you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So for example, a client will say like, "Well, hey, I was thinking about." A commercial with a Subway sandwich, and you're like, oh, seriously? That's not inspiring. I
Right.
don't really want to animate a Subway sandwich. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But being able to actually like cultivate an inspired work through someone prompting a prompt that isn't you're not inclined to actually